Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a simple truth. You can change your life completely in just 6 months. 6 months, that's 180 days. You don't need 10 years. You just need a plan, a reason, and the decision to start today. Now, I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. I'm not talking about a miracle. I'm talking about discipline, strategy, and consistency. Those golden habits that make ordinary people extraordinary. So let me walk you through the 6-month success plan that can change your finances, your health, your relationships, and your mindset. Clarity is the catalyst for change. Without clarity, we drift. We wander through days, months, even years, reacting instead of creating, surviving instead of building. When you lack clarity, you confuse motion for progress, activity for achievement. But once you become clear, crystal clear, everything changes. You begin to move with intention. You start saying yes to the right things and no to the distractions. You stop chasing everything, and you start building something. Clarity isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you design. You take out a piece of paper, and you ask yourself the hard questions. Where am I? Who am I becoming? What do I truly want? Not what others expect, not what the crowd admires. What you want. This is not always easy, because when you get honest with yourself, you might not like the answers. You might realize you've been settling, coasting, playing it small, but that discomfort is good. It's your wake-up call. You see, clarity brings power, and power demands responsibility. Once you're clear on what needs to be done, you can no longer pretend you don't know. You can't hide behind confusion. You can't say, "I'm just figuring things out," when deep down, you know you've been avoiding the truth. But when you finally confront it, when you sit still, when you reflect, when you put pen to paper, that's the moment everything starts to shift. Most people never do this. They stay busy. They fill their calendars. They distract themselves with noise, but clarity requires you to pause. You have to slow down long enough to hear your own thoughts. Not social media, not the news, not your neighbor's opinion. Just you, your mind, your values, your goals. Because if you don't know what you're aiming for, how will you ever know if you've hit the mark? You can't hit a target you can't see, and that's the problem. Too many people are shooting in the dark. They want success, but haven't defined what success means to them. They want more money, but haven't identified why. They want a better life, but they haven't painted the picture. So they chase someone else's version of success, and wonder why it feels empty when they get it. You need clarity the way a builder needs blueprints. You don't start constructing a house without a vision. If you do, you end up with chaos. The same is true for your life. You can hustle all you want, but if your ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, all you'll get is exhaustion. That's why the first step is not action, it's definition. Define your values, define your mission, define your version of freedom. Clarity also helps you cut away the unnecessary. When you're clear, you don't need to be everything to everyone. You don't need to impress. You don't need validation. You know who you are and where you're going, and that becomes your filter. Opportunities either align with your vision or they don't. People either support your path or they distract from it. Time becomes more valuable, and you treat it as such. Another thing clarity does, it reveals the gap. It shows you where you are versus where you want to be. That space in between can be daunting. It can make you feel behind. But don't let it scare you, let it guide you. That gap isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to inspire you. It gives your effort a purpose. It gives your mornings meaning. Every day becomes a chance to close the gap just a little more. And let's be clear, clarity is not a one-time event. It's a practice. Life changes, you grow, priorities shift, so clarity must be revisited regularly. It's not enough to get clear once and hope it lasts forever. You check in with yourself, you refine, you adjust, you ask, is this still right for me? You keep your goals aligned with your truth, not your ego, not your fears. When you build your life around clarity, you stop living by default and start living by design. You stop being a passenger and become the driver. Your days begin to serve a purpose greater than just making it to the weekend, and the people around you notice it. They feel the shift, because clarity doesn't just change your direction. It changes your presence. You walk differently. You speak differently. You lead differently. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Goals are exciting, inspiring, and easy to write down. They live in journals, on whiteboards, and in our daydreams. but they mean nothing, absolutely nothing, without discipline to back them up. That's the great separator. Everyone has goals. Fewer people have discipline. Discipline is the muscle that carries your ambition across the desert of distraction, setbacks, laziness, and fear. It doesn't matter how big your vision is if your habits are small and inconsistent. Discipline is what turns an idea into a reality. It's not glamorous, and it's not always fun. In fact, most of the time, discipline is boring. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It's choosing to read when the TV is calling your name. It's doing the work when the motivation is gone, because that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. They do it anyway. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's like a muscle that grows through repetition, consistency, and challenge. You don't get stronger by doing easy things. You get stronger by pushing through resistance. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you reinforce the identity of someone who follows through. And once that identity takes root, discipline becomes less of a struggle and more of a standard. You can't rely on motivation. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the firewood. It's what keeps the fire burning when the wind picks up, when the rain starts falling, when things don't go your way. There are days when motivation won't even show up. That's okay, discipline will. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It cares about what you said you were going to do. That's why it's powerful. It makes you dependable, not just to others, but to yourself. We've all had those moments where we said, "Tomorrow I'll start," or "Next week I'll be more focused," or "When I feel ready, I'll go all in." But the truth is, waiting for the perfect moment is the enemy of progress. Discipline says, "I'll do it now, even if I'm not ready, even if it's hard, even if I don't feel like it." And once you move, something magical happens. You build momentum. And momentum, once created, is hard to stop. Discipline gives you freedom. Most people think freedom is doing whatever you want, whenever you want, but that kind of freedom eventually becomes a prison. If you always follow comfort, you end up a slave to impulse, distraction, and regret. Real freedom comes from the discipline of doing what's necessary, so later, you can do what you desire. A fit body is freedom, but it's earned through disciplined workouts and nutrition. Financial peace is freedom, but it's created by disciplined saving, investing, and living below your means. Fulfilled relationships are freedom, but they're built through the discipline of listening, showing up, and communicating even when it's inconvenient. It's easy to envy people who seem to have it all together, but if you study them closely, you'll find discipline behind every success story. The artist who produces brilliant work, discipline. The entrepreneur who built something from nothing, discipline. The athlete at the top of their game, discipline. Talent may open the door, but discipline keeps you in the room. Discipline creates structure, and structure creates progress. Without it, days blur into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. You find yourself in the same place, wondering what happened, but with discipline, you control your time, you own your energy, you make each day count, even the ones that don't feel significant. Because you know success isn't built in one day, it's built every day. Brick by brick, rep by rep, step by step. One of the greatest forms of self-respect is discipline. When you live with discipline, you're telling yourself, "My future matters, my goals matter, I matter," and that self-respect begins to spill into every area of your life. You walk taller, you speak clearer, you make better choices, not because you're perfect, but because you've decided to rise above excuses and act in alignment with who you want to become. You don't have to be extreme, but you do have to be consistent. It's not about waking up at 4 a.m. or running 10 miles a day. It's about showing up for yourself again and again. Some days will be stronger than others. That's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up. You train the mind, you train the body, you train the will. And through that training, discipline becomes your way of life. Small daily habits shape massive results. Success isn't one big leap. It's the accumulation of tiny, almost invisible steps repeated with purpose. It's not the big wins once in a while. It's the small disciplines carried out daily that compound over time into something extraordinary. The way you live each day matters far more than you think. Every choice you make, no matter how small, is either moving you closer to your goal or further away from it. We often underestimate the power of what we do consistently. People get excited about transformation, but few are willing to commit to the unglamorous process that makes transformation possible. Everyone wants the breakthrough, but the breakthrough is built on the back of small, consistent actions done when no one is watching. It's the water you drink instead of soda, the 20-minute walk instead of the couch, the 5 pages you read each night, the extra 10 minutes you spend planning your day. Those are the habits that, over weeks and months, change your life. What makes small habits powerful is that they compound. Just like compound interest in finance, small positive actions, repeated over time, grow exponentially. You won't see it right away. In fact, that's what trips most people up. They quit because the payoff isn't immediate. But results are never instant. They're delayed. They're storing up like energy behind a dam until one day that dam breaks and everything changes, but only for the one who stayed consistent long enough to earn it. Every major transformation you admire began with a small act. The author who writes a bestseller didn't just get inspired one day and type it all out. They built a daily writing habit. The person with the strong, healthy body didn't just do a few workouts. They built the habit of showing up to train, of choosing better food, of getting rest. The successful business owner didn't just launch and succeed. They showed up every day, learned, failed, adapted, and built habits of resilience and focus. Small daily habits also shape your identity. Every time you follow through on a habit, you're casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. You're not just doing the action, you're reinforcing the belief. You're saying, I am someone who takes care of my health, or I am someone who manages money well, or I am someone who stays organized. And over time, those votes add up. That's how identity shifts. You don't wait until you're successful to act like it. You act like it, and then you become it. Consistency beats intensity. That's another reason daily habits matter. People go hard for a week, and then disappear for a month. They try to do too much too fast, but it's not about how hard you go. It's about how long you go. It's not about the 10-mile run you do once. It's about the 1-mile walk you do every day. It's not about the 7-hour study session before the test. It's about the 30 minutes of learning you do daily. Long-term success is a result of long-term commitment to small actions. Habits also reduce the need for willpower. When something becomes a habit, you don't have to think about it. It becomes automatic. That's the beauty of it. You move from force to flow. You don't have to talk yourself into it every time. That's why building habits, not just chasing motivation, is the key. Motivation comes and goes. Habits keep going. You don't get fit by working out only when you feel inspired. You get fit by making it a habit, so that even when inspiration fades, your system stays strong. The challenge is that small habits are easy to overlook. They're easy to do, but they're also easy not asterisk to do. Nobody sees the difference between flossing or not flossing today. Nobody notices if you skip your reading or journaling just once. But that's the trap, because one day becomes two becomes a week, and the habit is broken. That's why awareness is crucial. You have to protect your habits like a farmer protects seeds. They may look small, but they carry within them the potential for a harvest. The real success stories are built in silence. They happen in the morning routines, in the planning sessions, in the healthy meals prepared ahead of time. They happen in the moments when no one else is looking. And that's what makes them powerful, because while others are waiting for the perfect time or the big opportunity, the person of habits is already in motion, already building, already compounding the results that everyone else will one day see and call overnight success, when it was never overnight at all. Your environment must support your evolution. You can have the right mindset, the perfect plan, and the strongest will. But if your environment is working against you, progress becomes a constant uphill battle. Environment isn't just where you live. It's what you surround yourself with every single day. It's the people, the conversations, the media consume, the routines you follow, the spaces you occupy, and the energy you allow into your life. Every element either nourishes your growth or quietly stunts it. You don't rise to your potential. You fall to the level of your systems, and environment is one of the most powerful systems you can control. If you're trying to lose weight and your kitchen is filled with junk food, your environment is setting you up to fail. If you're trying to focus and your phone is constantly buzzing, your environment is pulling your attention away. If you want to be disciplined, but everyone around you makes excuses and criticizes ambition, your environment becomes a trap, and yet most people try to fight their environment instead of changing it. One of the most powerful decisions you can make is to intentionally design your surroundings. That means curating who you allow in your circle. Not everyone who started with you can grow with you. Some people love the version of you that stayed stuck, small, and familiar. The moment you begin to stretch, to raise your standards, to expect more from life, they may get uncomfortable. That doesn't mean they're bad people, but it does mean you have to protect your space, because energy is contagious. So is attitude, so is belief. If the people closest to you are constantly complaining, doubting, and dragging their feet, you will feel it, even if you think you're strong enough to resist it. You need people who challenge you, who support your vision, who believe in the future you're trying to create. You need voices that say, keep going. When things get tough, you need to hear you're capable. When your own belief starts to waver. And you need to be willing to distance yourself from anything that consistently pulls you away from who you want to become. That's not selfish, that's responsible. Your dreams are too important to be drowned out by toxic influence or stagnant surroundings. Environment also includes your physical space. Look around. Does your environment inspire you or drain you? Does your workspace make you want to focus, or does it invite procrastination? Are you intentional about how you start your mornings, how you wind down your nights, how you prepare your week? Even small changes, a clean desk, a vision board, a morning playlist, a daily review, and shift the energy of your environment, and with it, your performance. And then there's digital environment. What are you feeding your mind? What are you scrolling through first thing in the morning? Who are you following? What messages are you absorbing without even realizing it? If your digital world is filled with negativity, comparison, and noise, you will carry that weight into your thoughts, into your actions, and into your future. You need to treat your mind like your body. Guard what goes in. Feed it what builds, not what breaks. Changing your environment doesn't require massive moves. It starts with awareness. Pay attention to how you feel after you spend time with someone. Pay attention to how your energy shifts in different places. Pay attention to the things that quietly distract you or steal your momentum. Once you notice those patterns, you can begin to shift them. Replace the draining with the empowering. Replace clutter with clarity. Replace noise with intentional focus. Bit by bit, you design an environment that works for you instead of against you. When your environment is aligned with your goals, progress becomes smoother. You still need discipline, but you won't have to use all your willpower just to stay on track. Because now your space is helping you, your people are supporting you, your routines are reinforcing your direction, and that alignment creates speed. You're no longer trying to sprint in sand, you're running on a clear road. Evolution is not just about changing who you are, it's also about changing where you are and what surrounds you. You grow fastest when your environment reflects the future, not the past. When you walk into a room and it reminds you of where you're going, not where you've been. That's when transformation becomes sustainable, because you're no longer depending on just mindset or effort. You've built a world around you that lifts, supports, and accelerates your next level. You become what you consistently focus on. Wherever your attention goes, your energy flows, and over time, that energy becomes your reality. Most people don't realize how powerful their focus is. They spend their days reacting, checking phones, responding to distractions, getting pulled in a dozen directions, and then wonder why they feel scattered, overwhelmed, or stuck. But the truth is, your life is always moving in the direction of your dominant thoughts. If your focus is on problems, you find more problems. If your focus is on growth, you find ways to grow. It's not magic, it's momentum. Focus is not just about what you're looking at. It's about what you're thinking about, what you're speaking about, what you're emotionally investing in every single day. Some people are focused on fear without realizing it. They're constantly imagining worst-case scenarios, anticipating rejection, expecting failure. And because their minds are rehearsing those outcomes, they begin to act in ways that create them. Others are focused on possibility. They look for opportunity. They expect progress, and because their thoughts are aligned with belief, they begin to create conditions that support their goals. Your focus determines your filter. Two people can look at the same situation and see something completely different depending on what they're focused on. One sees the obstacle, the other sees the opportunity. One sees the delay, the other sees the lesson. The difference isn't the event, it's the lens, and your lens is shaped by your focus. That's why you must be intentional about what you give your mental real estate to. Not everything deserves your attention, not every headline, not every complaint, not every opinion. Focus sharpens your clarity. It helps you see through the fog of distraction. In a world that constantly competes for your attention, learning to control your focus is one of the most valuable skills you can build. It's what allows you to stay calm in chaos, to stay disciplined when emotions run high, to stay driven when motivation fades. Because your focus isn't scattered, it's fixed on what matters. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control, and you start doubling down on what you can. What you focus on also affects how you feel. Thoughts create emotions, and repeated thoughts create emotional patterns. If you constantly focus on what's missing, you'll feel lack. If you focus on what you've achieved, you'll feel momentum. If you dwell on past mistakes, you'll feel regret. If you focus on lessons learned, you'll feel empowered. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing where to put your mental spotlight. There's always something wrong and always something right. The question is, which one are you magnifying? Daily rituals can help anchor your focus. Taking a few minutes in the morning to visualize your goals, to journal your intentions, to plan your priorities. These aren't just good habits. They're tools for directing your focus. They train your mind to look forward, to expect progress, to stay aligned with your values. Without these rituals, you default to the world's agenda. You start reacting instead of creating, and when you live in reaction mode, focus slips away quietly, and with it, your power. Guarding your focus also means being selective with who and what you allow into your mental space. Some conversations drain your energy because they keep your focus stuck in gossip, negativity, or comparison. Some environments pull your focus into worry or doubt. Some habits fragment your attention so much that you never go deep. You stay on the surface, busy but unfulfilled. When you take back control of your focus, you take back control of your results. Because the quality of your life is a direct reflection of what you choose to focus on most consistently. Focus also requires boundaries. You have to protect your mind from distraction, the way a gardener protects a seed from weeds. That means saying no to some things, not because they're bad, but because they're not aligned with your path. That means turning off the noise, logging off when necessary, stepping away from the chaos and into your own space of clarity. Focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most, without letting the rest dilute your effort. The longer you hold your focus on something, the more momentum you build. At first, it's slow. You might not see results, you might doubt whether it's working, but if you stay focused, day after day, action after action, you begin to move, you begin to attract the right people, see the right opportunities, make better decisions. Because now your energy is no longer scattered, it's concentrated, and that concentrated energy becomes force. It moves things, it shifts things, it creates change from the inside out. Action is the cure for stagnation. No matter how inspired you are, no matter how clear your vision becomes, nothing changes until you move. Thinking, planning, visualizing, all important, but they are not substitutes for action. Too many people stay stuck in preparation mode, waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect confidence. But action doesn't wait on perfection. Action creates clarity. It gives you feedback. It teaches you faster than theory ever could. And most importantly, it builds the muscle of momentum. The mind will always offer reasons to delay. It's too early. It's too late. It's not the right time. You don't have enough experience. You don't feel ready. But waiting rarely makes you more ready. Taking action is what sharpens your readiness. You start with what you have from where you are. It might be messy. It might be awkward. It might not look like success at first, but taking one step forward beats sitting still with the best strategy in the world. Because action, even imperfect action, builds confidence. Every time you move, you prove to yourself that you can. Stagnation creates anxiety. The longer you sit still on something you know you should do, the heavier it feels. Procrastination doesn't take the weight off, it adds to it. Suddenly, the task becomes this looming presence, and the pressure grows. But as soon as you take that first small action, the weight begins to lift. Movement dissolves fear. It might not erase all doubt, but it weakens its grip. You don't need to conquer fear before you act. You act, and in doing so, you shrink the fear. Some people think they need more motivation, when what they really need is more motion. Motion fuels motivation. The simple act of doing ignites your internal engine. It might start small, writing a paragraph, making a phone call, organizing your desk. But it leads somewhere, it builds rhythm. That rhythm becomes progress, and progress is addictive. Once you see even a small result, your mind starts to believe again. That belief drives more action, and the cycle builds on itself. You don't have to see the whole staircase, you just need to take the next step. Sometimes the reason people don't act is because they're trying to figure out every move before they begin. But life doesn't unfold that way. Most of the clarity comes after you start. You take one step, and new information appears. A door opens you couldn't see before. An opportunity shows up that wasn't there when you were standing still. Action reveals what thinking alone cannot. Action also exposes your gaps. That's not a bad thing. When you take action, you find out what you don't know. You see where you're weak. You uncover the holes in your plan. That's how you grow. Too many people are afraid to move because they're afraid of getting it wrong. But getting it wrong is how you get it right. Every failure carries a lesson. Every mistake shapes your next step. You don't build skill in theory. You build it in the field. It's easy to romanticize action as something grand or dramatic. But real action often looks ordinary. It's the reps in the gym. It's the emails you send. It's the hard conversation you initiate. It's the journal you write in every morning. The quiet disciplines done over and over. There's no applause for these actions, but over time they compound. They stack up. They change your trajectory while others are still waiting to feel ready. Every successful person has one thing in common. They started. Not perfectly, not without fear, not with every answer in hand. They just started. They took the leap. They moved forward when it didn't make sense to everyone else. And because they acted, they gained experience, they built credibility with themselves, they gathered momentum. That momentum separated them from the pack. You can't steer a parked car. Movement is required. Even if it's a small move, it gives you something to work with. You can adjust your path once you're in motion. You can refine your strategy as you go. But nothing happens until you begin. And the beautiful part is, action is always within your control. You might not control the outcome, but you can control the effort. You can control what you do today, and what you do today begins to shape what's possible tomorrow. You don't need to feel inspired to take action. In fact, some of the most important steps you'll ever take will be when you don't feel like it at all. But that's when it counts the most, because those are the moments that shape character. They shape resilience. They create separation between those who wish and those who do.